Hey, it's time to get into July, and boy, do we need to go quick. There's so much to cover. Let's go. The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation. Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockoll. We're going to get right to it because July is cram-packed. And as you know, on these Principle Timeline series days, we got a lot to get through. So, Matt, start us off with these days to remember in July.
Oh, there's so many days to remember in July. And honestly, I don't even understand half of these things. But, we felt it was important for you to know. So, you have the benefit of listening to this. You can slow it down. You can rewind it, do whatever you need to do to catch all these. But we're going to go fast. So July 1st is National Poster Worker Day. Thank your postal worker because we all need that. July 2nd.
You definitely said National Poster Worker Day.
Poster?
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, my L's, I need a speech therapist. Postal.
Speech therapist, actually.
Speech therapist. July 2nd is Civil Rights Act anniversary, 1964. Some of you out there, some of you American historians might also celebrate this as Independence Day. But, I'll just leave that there. July 3rd, National Stay Out of the Sun Day, or what I like to say, all summer long.
Every day.
Don't go out in the sun. It kills you.
July 4th is the best holiday that there is in the U.S., and it's Independence Day. It's absolutely one of my favorite. It is my favorite, what am I saying?
It's a pretty great one. It's pretty good.
It's the best one.
We are very proud of what our forefathers accomplished for us. So, yeah, 4th of July. July 5th. I don't know if I do like this one, but National Workaholic Day. I guess that's something you should celebrate. I guess whenever I see a holic on anything, I feel like I should just, not associate with that. But
I want to jump in with a few of these food ones now.
Food. July is Food Month, apparently.
Food Month. So we're going to go to, on the 6th is Fried Chicken Day. On the 7th is World Chocolate Day. On the 9th is Sugar Cookie Day. On the 10th is National Kitten Day. Haha, that was a joke. But,
I mean, never mind. I'm going to keep that joke to myself.
July 13th is National French Fry Day. July 14th is Mac and Cheese Day. We have Personal Chef Day on the 16th. We have the Junk Food Day on the 21st. There is another one coming up. Yep, 28th, National Milk Chocolate Day. And then on my birthday, it's also Lasagna Day and Wings Day. But the last day of the month is Avocado Day. So those are most of these days are all food days.
And that's not even all of them. There are so many food ones. There are so many food ones to talk about.
Good month.
But yeah, I mean, there's the other weird things that pop out. National Video Game Day on the 8th. I'm glad we celebrate that in the summer, not during the school year. All-American Pet Photo Day on July 11th.
Would we be better or worse if we did not have video games in this country?
Again, I'll keep that comment to myself.
I think we'd be better, but that's me.
Simplicity Day, National Simplicity Day on the 12th. Keep it simple.
Kiss.
Keep it simple, special person. You. National Give Something Away Day is on the 15th. I guess they don't clarify whether it has to be a new thing. Just give something away.
Just give it away.
World Emoji Day. Now, here's the real question. Would our world be any better off without emojis?
I do like how they spice things up.
July 17th is the emoji day.
Announcements or text or whatever it is. Like if I was reading my church bulletin and I saw emojis, I would smile. I would like that more. So that'd be nice.
Interesting.
July 19th is National Football Day, even though we don't play football in the summertime like that.
That one was also surprising.
The XFL,
I guess go to those, museums that they got or whatever.
Yeah.
Play a video game of football.
Go to Canton. Maybe. Yeah, I hear you. We got the Moon Day on the 20th, the Hammock Day on the 22nd. Love 23rd. This is National Gorgeous Grandma Day.
Ah, gorgeous grandma.
Who doesn't have a gorgeous grandma?
We don't celebrate the non-gorgeous grandmas.
No, they don't get their own day. The 24th is National Cousins Day. 25th, Hire a Veteran Day. 26th, Americans with Disabilities Act Day. Happy anniversary there. 27th, National Korean War Veterans Armistice Day. That's a long one, but recognize it.
Armistice.
Armistice Day. And then the International Day of Friendship is on the 30th.
Ah, we can be friends.
At least on that day.
Yeah.
Now,
we got some weeks too.
We do, and these are much shorter lists, so we should move through. Yeah.
Now, again, I will say this, and that's all I'm going to say. There are some things that are recognized for a week that we did not include on this list.
Oh, yes.
I think it's important to clarify. But July 7th to 13th is Clean Beaches Week. Go out and clean a beach.
Well, yeah, or most of us, yeah, I say most of us. I shouldn't say that. Many of us will find ourselves at a beach sometime. And having been to many beaches, even internationally, I will say thank you for the beaches I grew up on in Ocean City, Maryland, for having those beach combers that come through and actually sift the sand. They could use those elsewhere in the world. Then, of course, we got Freedom Week, which is informally the week of July 4th. Now on to the month-long observances, please.
That's how we pacify all the historians that want to celebrate on the 2nd, but due to tradition, you have to go with the flow.
Month-long observances: National Ice Cream Month. This is National Anti-Boredom Month, which tell that to my daughter because within 2 days of being on break, she said, I'm bored. National Make a Difference to Children Month, National Parks and Rec Month, and then UV Safety Month.
Of course.
We could park on any one of those, but we won't because we got a lot of content to roll through to July. In fact, I'll tell you this. I got more feedback from you, our listeners, concerning July than I've ever gotten feedback for what I've reached out to. So thank you so much for that. And some long feedback, some feedback that took me a long time to actually get into this timeline. And there's one that was one that I would say was surprising that wasn't taken care of earlier, but we're going to go through it at some depth. So first up, I'll go through the academic planning, and then Matt's going to come back through the human resources, though, of course, as usual, we'll comment as we go.
Pause. No, I don't mean pause the episode. I mean, let's take a pause from the episode so I can talk to you about the Herzog Foundation. Mark and I are honored to partner with this amazing organization. Like the Christian Principles podcast, Herzog wants to see your school grow and be successful. To help you achieve those next steps, you will definitely want to check out the Herzog Foundation Institute. Whether you are looking for some quick online training or have the desire to grow with fellow educators at a conference, HFI has you covered. What's even better is that as long as you can get yourself to the many conferences offered throughout the year, Herzog will cover all the costs while you're there, including food and hotels. You really can't beat that. Head over to herzogfoundation.com and get yourself and your team signed up for some training today. What are you waiting for? Just one more thing before we get back to the episode. If Herzog has been a blessing to you and your school, would you mind sending us a message telling us how? We'd love to share that with others.
So first, the master schedule finalization. Use April and May data to complete the master schedule. Now, again, I'm thinking that this is the time. We've already suggested that in June you sit down, we do this in calendar. If your master schedule is not done, well then you better have it done in July. Make sure it is complete in July and ready to go. Account for student course selections in grades 9 through 12. Making sure that you have the teachers and the programs and the textbooks and all that ready to go. If you already have done a lot of your textbook ordering or your hiring, this is the point to just, double check those things. Incorporate parent and peer requests where possible for some of that master schedule finalization. The curriculum and textbook inventory, distribute printed inventory pack. Okay, this is what I wanted to stop and say. So, a lot of us probably have completed our curriculum, textbook, and inventory as far as making an order because some of the major publishing houses do early discounts. However, there's always something else to order. Doesn't matter how much you order, there's always something else to order. But I believe what's being talked about here is actually taking the inventory, and this is, yes, the double check on what you need, but this is also we now have not as finalized a list of our enrollment as we're going to have, but in July, you know who's coming, and you largely will, order a few extra for those who you think you might gain, or if you think you're good because you might lose some in between, whatever it is. Like, this is the time of inventory and curriculum and textbook, which we've even talked earlier about how maybe you've done that prior. You should do that prior. I think the point here being made is July really is the time when, if we haven't done it, or
Needs to be done.
you just gotta actually put the books into the classroom. So distribute the printed inventory packets as well as the textbooks themselves. If they haven't been ordered, the teachers need to have previously identified anything that was lost or damaged or things to be replaced. If you haven't done so at this point, then you're tallying responses and placing curriculum order based on the projected enrollment, which again, I'm supposing you've already done this, but if not, this is definitely, I will say though, I'm sure there is a lot of ordering that goes on in July, but it's probably just more minimalistic ordering, finishing out what was largely ordered previously. Matt, what do you think about that?
Well, I was going to say there's the other side of it too, that if you've already got your orders in, you could already be receiving the new inventory. And so you've got to
Yes.
process that on the other
Mhm.
side. So that, I know for us, that tends to be either mid to late July into early August, where that inventory is coming in, and now we've got to process it and get it where it needs to go.
Absolutely. So if there are any curriculum revisions, you're going to make sure that your curriculum revisions have been revised and ready to go. So if there are subjects that get summer updates, if you are in your accreditation cycle and you're reviewing that one major content area for the whole school for the year, you're perhaps working on that. You're monitoring progress and providing support to those curriculum revisions as needed, making sure those teachers felt supported. Now, finalizing some things with the textbook inventory. As the responses came in from the peers, from those of you who actually sent in responses concerning this, I wanted to pull out 3 from some very trustworthy administrators that we received and actually read them to you. And this is more tips on how they take inventory. So again, the usefulness of this in July versus an earlier time, perhaps you would need this earlier than they're providing it, but they're giving it to us here, and we're going to offer it to you here. So for textbook inventory, we use Google Sheet that lists each grade level, textbooks used, editions, etc., so we can track everything in one place. At the end of the school year, teachers update the inventory, which again, this is kind of why it is in July, because it's happening at the end of the year as part of their exit meeting, which is happening in June. So this is when they're coming back and reviewing it, because June goes so fast. Now we're already in July. They inventory their class subjects and verify additions and usable books for the next school year. Each teacher then briefly meets with the individual responsible for the book order to confirm that everything is updated. After many years of trial and error, this is the best system for us. So in this particular case, again, as much ordering as they want to do, they will do, but that final order isn't going to happen until after school year is over. Another one here, I keep a master list of curriculum used for K through 12, and I actually have that if anybody would like to see it. We've been given permission to offer up a part of that for your review. This gets sent out to teachers, and they provide the on-hand number from their areas. Regarding school and textbooks, they make a very conservative estimate of how many at current will be good for another year. I then order to fill in any predicted shortfalls. Once current inventory is established, I align ordering with projected number of students, and they talk about the actual number here that their order was. It took several days to write and to process that order just in-house, as large as it was, which sounds very similar to the first one, perhaps using paper and pencil versus the Google Sheets. And then we keep it pretty old school. We drop a printed packet in every teacher's box. They physically check off which student texts and teacher's editions are A, still serviceable, and B, MIA or damaged. In those packets, once those packets come back, which again, I'm supposing this is the end of the year, which is why we are pushing this off a little bit. Our team tallies the numbers, compares them to the next year's enrollment projections, and places orders immediately. Speed matters for us out on Maui, where this guy is. So this is from Jimmy Fitt. This is from Jimmy Fitt. So shipping is always the wild card. A 2-week delay on the mainland can turn into a month out here. So we hit purchase as soon as the counts are in.
Yeah.
And there you go. So perhaps a lot more about inventory and textbook thoughts than you even care to have in the summertime, but this is where the feedback was, that we got people are doing quite a bit of ordering, and people are ordering and receiving. So some good thoughts there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to jump into human resources, staffing and onboarding. So I feel like we've said this for every month, but whenever we're finalizing our staffing assignments, communicating those rules for the new year, hopefully by July, you've got to figure it out. And granted, We feel the pain. We've all been there where you still got some holes that need to be filled. But hopefully by July, have a pretty good hold on what is going to be.
That's why we're saying it, I'm sure, over and over again, because you could say finalize 15 times, but it's just the best version that you have, because something could change.
So along with that, you want to keep your staff informed, up to date with what's going on. So maybe sending out a summer staff letter, some perhaps the schedule of your pre-service, in-service, any new changes to staff, that would be helpful. Host one-on-one campus walkthroughs and onboarding for enthusiastic new hires. And I know for us, we always make it a standing thing that if teachers want to come in and toss ideas off of us or look at, perhaps make some changes in the classrooms, that's going to happen in the summertime. We don't want that to happen at the in-service time. We want to have that all figured out beforehand. So that's where July is a really good month for that. In-service planning. So we just said we're kind of tipped the hand to having that schedule that you send out, but make sure if you don't have that scheduled out, have a pretty good plan on it. That would even be a good thing to be doing in June, but by the time July comes around, have a schedule for August in service sessions. If you're going to get away, maybe have that. You're going to want to make sure you have that planned and communicated. Orientations as well, not just for staff, but even for faculty with your students, but perhaps faculty will have responsibilities with that orientation as well. And then meeting with your admin team to finalize the timelines, different events, with that in-service time as well. And then lastly, with human resources, this is a big one, especially if you're going through accreditation, but you're looking at your accreditation cycle. What are different things that need to be worked on ongoing? You've got some maintenance tasks perhaps for accreditation, so make sure you're completing those, checking those off as you go along the way. Your long range planning, making sure that you're sticking to those plans and adding on to it with your in accordance with the accreditation standards. And then teacher certifications, make sure they're all up to date, they're on track. If they're working towards something, that there's a plan moving forward, that's time to make sure that everything is squared away. Again, you don't want to have to be bringing this up after the school year's got rolling.
I'll say this now because otherwise it might not get done, but perhaps the relative light time in the office of having to deal with the day-by-day people dropping in conversations that happen would allow for the file reviews to be done at this time. And so whoever is your HR person, making sure they're walking through and looking at the list of what should be in a file versus what's in the file, taking out those who have gone on, putting in those who are coming, all of those things should be occurring now. And even just document clean out should be occurring now too. So there's your HR thoughts. Communication and community engagement. We think a lot in the summertime about getting into the community and continuing to be a light in the community, yes, but you're not doing so with your full body of students. You're doing so perhaps at events that highlight the school, parades, education awareness days, nonprofits in the town, state fair tables, county fair tables, well, maybe state fair tables, sure, but county fair tables and things like that. So parent and staff communication comes up first. Prepare a summer letter for enrolled families introducing the upcoming year's theme. So you got to have that theme. And perhaps that's something that needs to be done. We talked about that happening in June and getting that ready to go to put in all your mailers coming out in the summer. Finalize and schedule the release of newsletter and handbooks for early August. You are letting them know this is what you can expect. And here's some highlights from those. Like Matt's about to announce at Faith Baptist School that the shorts for the boys have been added to the uniform list, right?
Yeah,
especially for teachers.
Mid-thigh shorts, actually.
Those 6 inchers, that's what those are.
No.
Come on. All right, social media public relations. Meet with a media development coordinator to set the social media strategy. So either you're sitting down and having a meeting with yourself, or the committee or whoever it is that's helping you with that, the coordinator. Get it posted. See what not only your social media, but of course also perhaps your actual PR team. And if that's outsourced, make sure that in this time this is the time perhaps to set up what they want, where you're going to put your money in for your advertisements for the upcoming school year. Take care of a lot of that media time now when you have somewhat more of a time to think about it. Schedule posts for key events on social media using tools like Buffer or HubSpot or other of your social media hubs to push those things out. Update marketing materials and ensure presence at community events. And again, that's a big one, and that rolls into community involvement, which could start at your church. Things like getting involved with your local vacation Bible school at your church. Perhaps they're or several churches that make up your school, and maybe even a table out front of those. We talk about going where families are. Families go to vacation Bible schools. In fact, I was just listening to a John Christ bit that he was doing concerning when he was growing up, he became whatever denomination happened to have a VBS that week because he was one of 8 children. And so his homeschooling mom would just drop them off at whichever denomination. He's like, oh, so I'm Lutheran right now? Okay, thanks, Mom. Okay, well, I'm a Pentecostal right now. Thanks, Mom. It's just I'm not affirming it, not saying we should do it. I'm saying that's the joke, folks. That was the joke. That there was free childcare. Well, if it happens to be that your population is made up by a good number of different churches in your school, that perhaps you do have an opportunity to go to those vacation Bible schools and actually put out a table. Ask, why not? And if for those of our church schools, there's the opportunity right there of students coming to your stomping grounds and being there. So make sure you have the registration materials available for those tables. You're engaging those who show up. Just good theory on how to participate with somebody at an event. Make sure your staffers are offering that. And then again, go crazy. If you do get some of that time in front of either your church's vacation Bible school or one from a constituent church, go crazy and ask if you could have some time in the closing time, like some actual presentation time, or go buy ices for everybody and say, these ices come to you courtesy of the school. You're going to put your name on a sponsorship of the Vacation Bible School. But in any case, just some thoughts. So you get out there and do something different in the summertime, but to get involved in the community, how are we going to do that?
Now, I will say one more thing on that, but more so with your constituency. But I know this was brought up after we said this in our inboxing, I think, from an episode, and when we had our yearbook episode, we talked about having a midsummer yearbook signing. So possibly even just an event for your school families would be another thing in this downtime. It might be a good thing to do. Facilities and operations. Of course, there's a lot of upkeep with their buildings. Now they're empty. We can get a lot of work done. So don't waste that time. So when it comes to campus improvements, make sure you are looking at your building upgrades that need to be done, and HVAC systems, speaker systems, maybe security cameras, doors, flooring, computers. All those things are going to need regular maintenance. So make sure that all of that's being taken care of. Monitor summer cleaning and maintenance to ensure everything is done on time. You've also got safety and emergency preparedness. Review and update the school safety plan, critical incident response packets or procedures.
Pull it off the shelf.
That it's real easy to let dust grow on those things. And hopefully we have notes from last year of things that went well. Perhaps we've identified some weak points. So give some time to those in the summer. Walk around. I think that's the best thing to do, rather than sitting at your desk working through those kind of manuals. Take that manual on the road and go to the door that everybody complains never closes, never locks, and find the solution and update procedures if procedures need to be updated. Technology and other systems. Make sure that you are looking at your school's information system, any updates that need to be done there. And a lot of times this is something else that we discovered, that perhaps the information systems are going to be doing updates when school isn't typically happening. So you might need to be reminding your parents, like, hey, there was a major update to our system or our program, whatever you're using. So make sure you go in and refresh that to make sure it gets all the latest updates. So watch for those things, especially if vendors are letting you know of some things that have been changed. And then some staff training would also not be a terrible thing to do over the summertime, professional development hours for perhaps a new system that you're trying to introduce. I know that's something actually our school is looking into, some new technology and systems implementing for next school year, and we don't want to save all of that training for the end of the year. So maybe get a record a video or something, or maybe even the program that you're using offers some tutorial videos, and go ahead and start sending those things out to your staff.
We know the staff comes in to the in-service time ready to get in their classrooms and do their work. They really don't need something else crammed into that time worth of learning. And we know that, yet we still try to do it because we realize that's some of the only time we have. And there's that great struggle of, well, this is when they are getting paid to be here, so on and so forth. So, take that balance. But if you can shove something out in the summertime for people to take a hold of, go ahead and have them go ahead and do so they can take a hold of it and get a hold of it and feel better about it. So then enrollment and development, we have finalize and distribute the student class lists to those who you usually do so with. Perhaps that's to even all of the families. Perhaps that's not. At least it's the faculty and staff who need it. Provide ongoing communication for newly enrolled families. Make sure they feel very much at home and very much ready. Respond to parent inquiries and requests regarding class placements. Let them know they made it in, they didn't make it in. Keep, just for the schools, just for the school's name's benefit, if for nothing, not for nothing else, but to keep a solid face with the community, letting them know whether or not they made it in, if they did, if they got with a certain teacher they wanted to be with, all that sort of thing. If you have any kind of annual development report that needs to be offered to a board or to an institution who offered money or who gave some kind of grant or is giving it ongoing funding, have those some more reports ready to submit as needed in those annual ways. Perhaps, again, if you are a church school, there is an annual meeting where they have an annual report and you have a part of that report to fill out, whatever it happens to be. I'll cover athletics here as well, and then make one more comment. Athletic programming, not that we see much programming done in the summertime overall, or even allowed to. So this is definitely the time when your athletic director is probably working on the facilities, setting up, hopefully, for some athletic directors, that would be setting up schedule time happens in the summertime. For others, that happens a year before in the summertime. And for the next year, for others, it doesn't happen until the fall. So wherever your ADs happen to be on that, or you, making sure you're inventorying what is there, getting rid of what is moth-eaten, and all the rest of it that goes into it.
Well,
be in contact with the AD. Yeah,
not also to forget, like, if you've made any or needed to make any updates to an athletic handbook, that also needs to make sure that that's done and communicated in the summertime would be best as well.
The other thing I was going to say before I turn it over to Matt for this last spiritual leadership portion is this time in the month of July, when your vacation days are in July, most likely. You're less likely to be sick in July than you are in like a December, January. So you can kind of pinpoint, I'm going to be in the office on these days. I would humbly submit to you, you might want to take the handful of days that you are in the office and perhaps have everybody with you and attempt something. We're sitting here in early June. Go ahead and attempt something in July. Have a day by day. On this day, I will attack the coordination of social media strategy for the 25-26 school year. On this day, I will be attacking the athletic director. That sounds funny. On this
attack
day,
the athletic director.
I will be having.
It sounds especially funny considering my athletic director is my wife. I will attack.
Yeah, don't do
my
that.
wife.
Yeah, don't do that. The athletic director. Maybe this day is coming. I mean, you get that attack in on this day. Perhaps you get that conversation about communication, the new technology, all that's happening on this day. If you can, give yourself a look ahead and actually see what you could do, and see how useful that would be for you to say, I know I'm going to get sideswiped 100 different ways, 100 different times, but because I can look at my July and see what days I'll be there and what I need to focus, I'm going to actually go ahead and put down on my schedule, on this day, I'm handling all the tech needs I need to handle on this day. On this day, I'm handling all of the development conversations. I have that grant to write. It's getting written on this day. I have this to do. It's getting written on this day. And we know that God scoffs sometimes at the plans of man. And we know that, the best laid plans of mice and men. We get that. But at the same time, if we're not preparing for success, if we're not attempting.
Yeah.
I'd be you may be very impressed to see just how much you can get done and feel good about how much you got done, especially if you're in some kind of summer office hours where you need more of that actual direction to say, I'm in the office, the door is shut in a way it's even not usually shut because I'm only in here for a small amount of time, which means I do have more time outside the office to communicate with you about this sort of thing. So just a thought in general, perhaps you do want to go a day by day presentation of what you're going to do for the month of July.
Yeah. And part of that, with that preparation, thinking through our last major point here being spiritual leadership, maybe you have already developed a plan and you've worked it out prior to July with a theme for the next year, or a theme verse or spiritual vision that you're wanting to cast. But you want to, don't just coast on that. You want to make sure you're planning out specific implication. How are we going to put this into action? So if you haven't, make sure you finalized what those themes are. But then take some time to coordinate some stuff like poster creation or production. Maybe you've got some visuals that you want to be a part of all of your chapel presentations, or even a part of devotionals, and even in your chapel speakers, depending on how you do your chapel planning, which is the next one I'm going to talk about. I know we might want to try to invite many different individuals coming in, but letting them know ahead of time, like, hey, this is going to be our theme for this year. Maybe it's something that they could use to maybe not make a main part of their chapel presentation, but at least bring it in. That would be helpful. But with chapel planning in particular, this is another thing, depending on how you do chapels, maybe it's something that's fairly simple as far as the specifics as who's speaking when and all those kind of things, or how you're running your chapels. I know for us in particular, we're doing some major changes to our chapels next year. So even prior to July, we've had to do some major planning, but come July, we want to make sure we have a lot of things accomplished. So your scope in general of what your chapels are trying to get done, the themes and key points that you want to include, but looking for perhaps individuals that you want to have involved with the various chapels, maybe your in-service time, speaking with the staff. Maybe you've got a special back to school night, and so you might want to have some extra devotional time and maybe have somebody for that, or a special message for that. So you're developing all of those different things. Think through that to make sure that you are on point from beginning to end. And then don't forget, all of this kind of goes out the window if we ourselves as the leaders aren't being rejuvenated. And, we're here, we just spent a lot of time talking through all the things we got to do in July. And I'm sure, like, if you're like me, looking at July very quickly coming up, is just, I can't rest. And I'll say this: parents always say to me when I'm saying goodbye to them on the last day of school, well, now you get to take a break. No, July, the summertime is a lot of work because we're getting prepared for the next year. So don't forget the personal renewal. Take some time, intentional time for your spiritual rest and renewal. Make sure that you're getting together with other brothers and sisters in Christ that you can lean on for that encouragement and that help to get rejuvenated. Take some time with your family. Make sure you're doing that as well. Spending time in prayer, in devotions, praying that God would give you the vision and leadership that you need to have for that upcoming year. Don't overlook that.
Matt's going to be presenting us with the name of the Christian Administrator Spotlight, but just before he does, I will say I don't have many of the quips, many of the one-liners that are they're standard with me or that began with me. I've already used one. The homeschoolers are slippery, and some of you disagree with that greatly, but that's fine. The other one I have always said is on my birthday, July 29th, I know that once that birthday time hits, there's no more looking back. If I am not complete with the school year, which was prior to that point. That point is the day I am now looking ahead. Or the 29th is the last day I would take to do anything with the school year prior. In general, like I'm everything that was closed should have been closed well prior. July absolutely has to be, and at the very least by the end of it should be the time when my eyes are wide open and completely focused on the upcoming school year. Now, Matt, who is the Christian administrator spotlight for us today?
So we are shouting out Mr. Michael Elliott. Let me say that again. Yeah, we are shouting out Mr. Michael Elliott, administrator of Chisago Christian School out there in Chisago City, Minnesota.
Now, we had Mr. Alan Hodak on our Mr. H, Principal H, Pastor Allen on our podcast. He talked to us about these Minnesota Association of Christian Schools member schools. And he mentioned to us Fourth Baptist School there in Plymouth. And he mentioned to us, of course, we already know of Woodcrest there because of Matt's personal ties to it. But he mentioned the Chisago Christian School, where he had formerly been an administrator. So by that avenue, by that path, we're going to give a shout out today to Mr. Michael Elliott for his work there at Chisago Christian School, where Mr. H formerly was the administrator. Matt, would you mind praying for Michael?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for Michael, the work that he does there in Minnesota, and leading his team. And as his summer is, I'm sure, full with many responsibilities, that you would just help him as he prepares for the coming school year. Pray that he would have the staff that he needs and the support to be able to just have a wonderful year, all for your honor and glory. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, folks. Well, thanks for growing with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.